All right. So now we're doing Free Code Camp, a legacy Python for everybody. Build your own functions exercise. There we go. All right, so let's click this one and get to it.
Hello,
right,
and welcome to Python.
This. Boom. Bring it back to the beginning and then go 1, 2 arrow keys to the left. Pardon me, to the right. There we go. All right, so we're going to rewrite our pay computation with time and a half for overtime and create a function called compute pay, which takes 2 parameters, hours and rate. All right. So yeah, for this one, what we're going to be doing is just take the one that we did already, and we're going to make a function out of it, right? So let's come over to, what is this thing called? The text editor. All right, and let's on this one we're going to open folder because I've already watched the video a couple of times. This is like my 3rd or 4th take, so I know what's going to happen. So we're going to open the folder right here, okay? And then let's select py4e on the desktop or wherever you saved it. Just select your py4e folder, and then we'll select the folder like this, and we'll come over here to the Explorer, and we'll see that we've got a py4e with all of our files in it right there, right? So let's open up this 3.2 right here and get started. So we're going to take this, actually, let's, you see this thing right here? We're going to make a new folder as well. So let's get out of this, just click the empty space. Let's see if it's any empty space at the bottom to get into the full folder mode, and then say new folder. And then we'll say right here, EX, and then 04. And then he's saying we're going to have to call it 06 for some reason. We'll see about that later, but that's what he said in the video. So let's do that. All right, so now we've got that right there, and let's save this as, let's say file save as. And let's come up to 0406, open it up, and save it as exercise 6. All right, save it. And there we go. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wrap this stuff up down here, this if and this else. Okay. Because basically these try and excepts, these are actually more like just single variables, but like wrapped in shells that are doing other things to it too. Like the try and except, but this is just a regular variable right here. Like this would be a variable and this would be a variable, right? So what we're going to do here is we'll come down here to 12 and we'll say def to define the function, and we'll say def compute pay like that. Then we'll have the little parentheses, we'll have the colon, and then we're going to select all of this stuff right here, all the way down to line 28, and we're going to tab it over once like this, right? So now we've got this going on right there. Let's see. Okay, so now that we've got the compute pay inside of this, what we want are 2 arguments, remember, because we want hours and rate, probably 2 parameters, hours and rate, right? So we've already got hours and rate made, okay? So we don't really have to change much of anything. All we have to do is put inside of this parameters thing, hours, comma, rate. And there we go. It's going to be just like that. There's this one over here. I wonder what that's all about. Oh, it's not returning anything. Maybe that's what the deal is. Problems with the file. Anyway, we'll figure this out later. But first, what we got to do is we got to return a value from this thing, right? So let's come down here and let's go down to 29 from 28. Press backspace 2 times and then tab once, because if you don't, let's go Control Z, and you just go backspace once and say return. There's going to be this little problem here. It's probably the thing about the spaces. So just but I forgot how to like alleviate it. So anyway, just push backspace twice to the beginning of the line and then tab one more time and then say return like that. No big deal. And what we're going to return is we want to return the pay, right? We want to return pay. So pay like this. And we're going to say print, instead of this right here, we're going to say print, and we'll do the function call. So let's say print compute pay, and then we'll have hours and a rate, right? And just to let you know, this hours right here, as you can see right here, it says it's a parameter. This one and this one are parameters, but this one right here is a variable, and this one right here is a variable. It just so happens that they have the same name, right? And I guess it's easier that way. I don't know. But just let you know that this is not exactly this right here, right? So let's do that. Let's save the thing, which controls S. And then let's open up the, what is the thing called? Console, the command line, right? So let's right click the tab here. We'll come down here and revealing file explorer right here. Shift Alt R, one day. And then we'll come over here. And so here we are. Let's click this little empty space next to the file path. And then we will say CMD thusly. And you see we got it right here as usual. All right, so now let's do tab. Let's press home. Let's say Python space enter. How many hours do we work? 45. How much do we make per hour? 45. All right. So it's looking good for right now, but let's do a few more things to it to make it, to give it that more formatted feel, right? So what we want to do here is we'll say, what did it look like? We'll say total pay instead of regular pay or extra pay. So we'll say, so we'll do a, let's do an F string, okay? F string, remember those? No, we haven't done F strings yet. We can't do F strings yet because we haven't learned F strings. So we'll just say, we'll go like this, a string total pay, colon, space, $, like this, and then close it off like that, plus the pay. But since we're adding the pay to a float to a string, we're going to need to wrap this pay. Oops, wrap this pay in a string thusly. All right, just like we did here and wherever else. All right, so now we've got that going on. Let's do a Control S. Come on. Do we want to cancel? Okay, Control S. I don't know why that happened. Anyway, so we've got that. Let's go open up the command line. Press up arrow, enter. How many hours? 45. How much do we make? 45. Right. It looks pretty good. There is a way to get get 2 zeros here, but we're going to have to use the F string. So let's do a little teaser real quick and an F string to get these all looking pretty good. Or let's not actually, because I forgot how to do it, and we'd have to do a lot of looking up stuff. Anyway, so there is a way to get these to have 2 decimal places, but we'll get into that later because I don't have it on the top of my head. All right, so there's that. Let's check out what Dr. Chuck has to say about that.
6 in chapter 4. This is an exercise where we're kind of taking code that... Hello and welcome to Python for Everybody. This is another of our worked examples, and I'm your instructor, Charles Severance. So the example we're going to do right now is exercise 4.6 in chapter 4. This is an exercise where we're kind of taking code that we've already written and redoing it in a way to just prove that we can do it with a function. So it's not like it's going to do anything different. It's going to do exactly the same as before, and we're just going to do it a different way. So let's go ahead and start up our text editor, Atom. Show you a couple new features of this. It's already been open. Let me sort of open it here again. I'm going to open, get a new window, and then I'm going to open. But what I'm going to do is to open this folder, right? So it's this folder right here, and I'm going to open that. So instead of opening a file, which is what I've been doing so far, I'm going to open a folder. So now you can see all the folders that I have, and they're just exactly the same folders that I've been making under desktop.py4e. And so I can go and look at my previous assignments. The other thing I can do is I can control click on this and say new folder. And I can say EX exercise 04, 06. Again, I like the 04 and the 06 just so things line up when we get to chapters 10 and 11. That's why I'm naming my files this way. And I'm going to adapt the code from exercise 3.1. We could do exercise 3.2, but it's longer. The difference between 3.1 and 3.2 was one uses try except and the other one does not. So I'm going to try to start with this one. I always clean up and get rid of that. So here is our time and a half for overtime logic. And I am going to say...
So yeah, he didn't use 3.2, but I was like, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way. So that's the way I wanted it. That's the way I did it. And there we go.
File, save as. So I'm making a copy of it. And I am going to put this in this folder, exercise 4.6. And I'm going to make sure to rename my file 0406. Okay. So now I've got exercise 0406, which is this one right here. That's the file we've got, and it's there. And so let me pop up my terminal window. CD desktop, CD PY4E, CD EX04. Hit the tab for 06 because there was only one in 04. And so I can see where I'm at, and I have one file here, ls. Minus L gives extended information. And I can say Python 3 EX04 PY 10 10, and away we go. Okay, so this is this code. I'm gonna get rid of some of this logic here. These print statements, which I commented out, just to make it a little more dense. Okay, so let me start by just putting a function in here. And of course, def is the keyword for function, and compute pay is the name of the function, and it's supposed to take two parameters, hours and rate. And then you add a colon, and then we're indented, right? So the indent is to determine how long the function it lasts, how many lines it is. And I'm just going to say print in compute pay. Give myself a blank line. I'm going to save that. Now, I'm going to run it now. I'm going to run it now, and you'll notice something real quick.
What?
This line never came out.
It didn't. You didn't
and that's because
return anything.
The way...
Right? He didn't put a return statement. He didn't call, no, it's not even a return statement. He didn't call it, right? He didn't call compute pay hours at rate or FR and whatever. And so, yeah, it's not going to...
This works is this simply defines the function, and then it continues running, but it doesn't run that code. And it ran this code, and then it did, in this case, the else code, and then it did the print. But it never came up and actually ran this code. We have to call the function. Okay, we have to call the function before it's going to actually run. So now let's make a call. Compute pay, and let's pass in our variables that we have in this main code, FH and FR. So that compute pay FH and FR, and then I'm going to print out hours and rate. So now you'll see it's going to do the input, convert to floating, call the function, which is going to run this one line, and then continue down here. Right? So now what it's going to do is going to define it, run this, call compute pay, which is going to temporarily suspend, come in here, run this code, and FH is going to map to hours, and FR is going to map to rate, and then it's going to come back, and then it's going to continue down here, running this code and then finishing. Okay, so that's what's going to run. So this time we will see compute pay, and we will see the number for hours and rate. So I'll run it again. 40 hours, $10 an hour. Ah, we see a mistake. I'm like, and then you're going to see the word compute pay here.
Yeah, where is it?
And I'm like, okay, that didn't happen.
It didn't. All right. How long is this video? 10 minutes? We're only halfway. All right, let's go.
Well, what's going wrong? Let's take a look at what's going wrong. I don't plan to make these mistakes. I just make them. Let me show you what's wrong here. See this little blue dot? That's what's wrong with my code.
He didn't save it.
If you don't catch that, then you'll say, oh, I'm crazy. Well, I'm not crazy. I just made a mistake. I forgot to save it. File save or Command S. So now I saved it. I didn't change a single line of code. It was right. I forgot to save it. So I'm going to run it again now. 40 hours, $10.
There we go.
And look, now I see this line. So it came into compute pay and then came back and then finished this part and did compute pay. Okay? Now, this isn't enough. What I need to do is I need to move this code, the actual pay computation. So I'm going to cut that and I'm going to put it in here. But now this variable FH belongs to the main program. It doesn't belong to this code. Now I don't want to use that. So I want to say hours. So I'm taking whatever hours are being passed in and then using rate. And I'm just kind of changing all of these to match the parameters inside the function. This is hours and this is rate. And this is hours, and this is rate. Now I'm going to print a print statement inside. I'm going to say returning, and then I'm going to print XP. And then, still inside the function, I want to return a value from this function, so I'm saying the returned value for this function is actually in the current function variable XP. And then I'm going to call, actually I'm going to not call this XP, I'm going to call this pay in here. Oops, not with capital, I don't want to be capitalized. Pay and pay and pay. So it's returning pay, and then in here I'm going to say XP equals compute pay. So what we've achieved here is, let me get rid of that.
Why not just call it pay in the first place, right? Why not it? Why hours rate, hours rate, hours rate? Why not that in the first place? But you know what? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason. But doing this, no, not in 2024. We got to overtime pay. We got to write the thing out. I mean, it's just do it.
What we've achieved here is it's going to come down, define a function, then read the input, convert it to floating point, and then call compute pay, passing in FH as hours and FR as rate, right? And then it's going to take hours and rate, do whatever it does with the if then else. It's going to print these things, then it's going to return it, and then whatever this pay variable is effectively goes back into this expression as the return value and again gets assigned into XP. Okay? So that's basically what's going to happen, and then we'll print, it'll come back and then print XP. Okay? So let's go ahead.
I don't know. Okay, let me go over it.
Okay? So that's basically what's going to happen, and then we'll print, it'll come back and then print, oh wait, XP. Right. Okay?
There, okay, there. That's what I was waiting for. All right, so here we go. Let's go over this because that was a lot of mishmash in drawing, I guess. So we got def compute pay, hours and rate. Okay, so we already changed up all this stuff. So we're going to pass in hours and rate. So down here, when we call it compute pay, we're saying FH, which is the float of the input of the hours. Okay, and then we have FR, which is the float of the input of the rate, right? And so that's what's going to be passed in, just like we did hours, just like we did like this, except for, I don't know, this one looks a little bit simpler, doesn't it? Except for this stuff, but whatever. Anyway, whatever. Let's come back over here. So yeah, we're calling it with the hours and the rate, which is going to be FH and FR, which is this stuff, like I said. Then we're going to say print in compute pay. That's where we said over here, print it with the hours and rate. And then we're going to do the little thing that we did, and they're going to print returning instead of, what did we print? Something cooler. Something way cooler than that. Total pay, $. Yeah, way better. Way cooler. So let's come back over here. So there's that. And yeah, that's basically it. It's really simple stuff.
So let's go ahead and run. Oh wait, I almost did it again. Look at the little blue dot.
Yeah, you did.
You guys can watch the blue dot. And when I forget to save it, and when I then run it, it'll blow up. So $10 an hour, oops, 10 hours, $15 an hour. So now it worked. So you can see these two print statements come from while this is running. the input happens, it calls the function, and then it prints out the pay. And now to finish this, to get it right, I will simply comment out my little helpful debugging print statements and run it one more time, 40 hours, $10 an hour, and run it again and have it be $50 an hour and 50 hours and $10 an hour, so 550. So that one is now working. So that one is completed. True. And we have moved our computation inside of the function. So I hope that you find this useful. I hope that you find this entire course useful. Yes. And thanks for watching.
Somewhat useful. It's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I say that it's really good that we have these problems to do. So there's that. Looks pretty much, I mean, it didn't look like mine, of course, but you know, we could tell what was going on. All right. So let's come on over here. All right. So we've got, what will the following Python program print out? So we've got def Fred, print zap, def Jane, print abaca. All right. So we've got call Jane, so it'll print ABC, then Fred, so zap, and then call Jane, and then ABC. So ABC, zap, ABC. Let's find that. Looks like this one. Boom. Check the answer. Looks good. And submit it. All right. So now we're on to loops and iterations. And we'll see you next time.